Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective. With pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. It is Wednesday, February the 2nd. Ian Cameron with you. We will have Andrew McInnis joining us momentarily. Should have Jimmy Murphy as well. And we've also got, for a special guest, because he asked and because I'm a nice person, we have Terry Edelman on the show as a special guest here. And it is the final day before the All-Star break. And to be quite honest with you, you guys know that I'm working my fingers to the bone, essentially doing this show every day, 7 days a week. We don't take days off. We don't believe in that because we really do try to make this a show where we do get to every single game on the NHL betting board all season long, every regular season game, every playoff game. That being said, to get 4 days coming up with no Ice Guys show, just to, to catch your breath and relax a little bit, it'll be a nice feeling. But, no despair needed. We will be back on Monday, February 7th, 2 p.m. Eastern, with our first show following the All-Star break. Terry, it was great to have you on the Betcast last night, along with everybody else that joined us. I mean, where do we start? Cheshire Cat, Stella, Melissa Cunningham, Jimmy, of course, was on for a bit there. We had Scott from New York there that was on for. He didn't say a lot, but that's okay. You can just hang out too. It was all good. And it was great to have him. Of course, we had Rinus Vitelins, who was a champ, staying up to like 6 a.m. in local time in Riga, Latvia, and sticking with us on the Betcast. And then he signs off and says, I got to go to sleep here, finally get to sleep. And then he chimes in the chat like 40 minutes later when Calgary's making their big comeback against the Dallas Stars. So terrific Betcast. Everybody is really good people. It's like a family atmosphere and environment that we've cultivated here with the Ice Guys, with our viewers and with our listeners. And we really like that about our show. We've got a very inclusive show. We bring in the guests, we bring in the viewers, we bring in the listeners. We make them feel like they're part of the Ice Guys experience. And certainly we had that last night with the Betcast. And we got that many more weeks ahead with the Betcast. We'll be doing these weekly following the Super Bowl. So we're excited to keep them going. Now, it was a little overwhelming for me at times because we've never done one with an 11-game slate before. So there were a lot of games you had to keep your eyes, your sensory overload, your head's moving out everywhere, your eyes are moving everywhere. You're trying to keep on top of everything that's going on. But it was a great time for sure on the Betcast last night. We made some money. We did, especially at the end of the night. There were some good hits. Calgary plus 1.5, plus 160 in their comeback against Dallas last night. We did. How about the Buffalo game? Just when you think, we're packing up here, 4-0 for Vegas, nothing to see here. I jumped in with Buffalo next goal at plus 150, and also Alex Tuck before the game took him to score at plus 300, and that got there. Both of those bets with Alex Tuck getting the first Buffalo goal last night. So made some money. We lost some too, unfortunately, but not going to win them all. It was a very enjoyable and fun Betcast. Terry, it was good to have you. I'm sure you had a good time as well.
Oh, it was awesome. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it. You mentioned, I think it was yesterday's show, that you had some people that have been messaging you, asking about the Betcast and stuff. And I know I've been in the chat quite a few times this year saying, when's the Betcast? When's the Betcast? So it was super fun. I really enjoyed it. And and there were some good bets cashed there, and it was a good night.
Yep, the brothers Earl, Nicholas Earl was on, Tim Earl was on. Great to have them on the Betcast. DJ Mitchell was on for a bit, the Sabre fan. I know we were giving him a grief for being a Sabre fan and wearing the Sabres jersey, but hey, it takes guts to wear that these days with what's going on with them. And obviously, they were not able to take advantage of Vegas playing their final game for the break, but definitely was great. I mean, Cheshire Cat, if I didn't mention you, you were on for a bit as well. I mean, everybody that joined us on the Betcast, we definitely appreciate it. And it was a great first Betcast of the season. Jimmy, you joined us definitely longer than I expected. And I love Alex because this is the champagne talking throughout the course of the night. He's saying to me all day, Ian, I got to fly to Denver. I got a long day on Wednesday. I can only stay for the first period of the early games. Next thing you know, 2.5 hours later, champagne gets talking. It's in control, not you. All of a sudden, right? Jimmy, welcome in.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Very good. A little tired, actually, I got to admit,
Yeah.
after last night. It was a 5-hour betcast when it was all said and done last night, but a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to many more of them to come. Just briefly on the games last night, Florida Rangers was a great game. Great win by the Rangers, 5-2. It was a great day for me overall. Washington, a couple dogs with Washington and the Rangers cashing. Both of those games go over the total, which also was bets for me. Swept the Toronto game with the team total on the Leafs over and the full game over as they clobber the Devils last night. I did lose the Jets and the Flyers over. Philly, all of a sudden, red hot. A whopping 2-game win streak for the Philadelphia Flyers. The big shocker of the night, obviously, Arizona. Biggest underdog victory based on the closing line since 2006 with Arizona's upset, getting more than plus 400 in that game against the Colorado Avalanche last night, rallying from 2-1 down. And Nick Earl's brother, Tim, who joined us late in the betcast last night, he really did bet Arizona plus 1040 or 1045, whatever it was, when they were down 2-1. Over 10-1 odds on Arizona on the money line when they were trailing 2-1. They come back to win 3-2 in a shootout. And of all teams to end Colorado's 18-game home winning streak, the Arizona Coyotes are the team that does it. Welcome to life in the National Hockey League, right? Jimmy, what did you think of last night overall? I know it's the Seattle-Boston game. You were keeping a close eye on that. It got a little nasty, got a little physical in that game, and Boston finds a way. Not pretty, but they win.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of games like that, right? I mean, a lot of good one-goal tight games, playoff feel to them. It was one of those nights where teams were they said, screw it. We're going on break for a week. Most of them are. Let's just put all of our marbles on the table here and just go all in. I mean, and I like that. I like that attitude because a lot of times, and we did see it with some teams last night, but, in general, it's natural that these guys are just looking ahead to the beaches and getting away from the game. And kudos to a lot of teams and players last night that didn't do that and realized how valuable the 2 points were.
You got to give them credit. Vegas, especially, great focus there. Terry, your highlights and overall thoughts from what happened last night.
It was an interesting night for sure. I did not expect the Coyotes to end Colorado's winning streak there, so that was a bit surprising. Me and Alex were both on that Pittsburgh-Washington draw. As soon as I saw it, I liked it. And then I watched the show, and as soon as Alex said he was on the draw, I'm like, yes, because Alex is pretty good with the draws as well. So I was happy to see him on it. We both cashed that, so that was nice. It was a pretty good night last night. A lot of games.
Sure was. Yep, it sure was. There's so many good games. I mean, how many in that early session? The 7 p.m. Eastern games. What do we have? Multiple overtime games. We almost had the Jets and Flyers go to overtime, and it just fell short. But we had, obviously, Pittsburgh and Washington decided in overtime. San Jose, Tampa Bay decided in overtime. You had, multiple games at that time going past regulation. So it was an exciting stretch of hockey. You had close games, too, that even the close games that didn't go into overtime that you saw last night with Seattle-Boston. That went right down to the wire. You saw Calgary-Dallas, a thrilling comeback by the Calgary Flames in that game, down 3-1 to come back and beat Dallas 4-3. A great win for them. And Rick Bowness not happy, obviously, after that game, seeing Dallas find a way to lose that one. Crazy comeback there. So it had everything. It had overtime games. It had high-scoring games. It had crazy comebacks, huge upsets. It was a great night for a betcast, and certainly hope all of you enjoyed it. All right. Time to turn the page. We got Wednesday's NHL card now to look at. We'll start with the marquee matchup, which has had a little gleam taken off it by some recent news that we've just found out. The Edmonton Oilers and the Washington Capitals. Now, we talked about this game on the betcast, and then one of the bet sides that stuck out to me right away was Edmonton, and they were plus 120 at DraftKings last night when we were doing the betcast. The current line at DraftKings is Edmonton minus 125. In this game as road favorites. Look at the swing. That's a 45-cent move toward the Edmonton Oilers from last night during the betcast to where that price is right now. The total 6 here, shaded to the over in this game. And Of course, TNT was going to hype it up. Sportsnet in Canada, both networks that were going to show this game tonight. We're going to talk about how great it was going to be to see these two teams, to see head-to-head Alex Ovechkin and Connor McDavid. But that will not be the case. Alex Ovechkin is ruled out for the Washington Capitals tonight due to COVID-19 protocol. Just won't go away, this COVID-19 protocol mess. And they end up still missing Ovechkin tonight in this game. And he will not only miss this game, but it looks like in addition to he'll miss the All-Star game now probably too. There's a good chance of that. So very unfortunate.
And he has to 5-day minimum.
Yep.
So
exactly. Yep. So that's going to wipe out any participation for Ovi in the All-Star weekend in Las Vegas. So very unfortunate there. And again, kind of takes away from this matchup, but certainly a big loss for Washington. The Capitals coming in off a big overtime win against Pittsburgh. Peter Laviolette was saying, we had some adversity to fight through. We rallied through it. Very, very proud of the guys. This is definitely, and I said this last night, it's not a Washington spot. It's not a great, great situation for them. They're on the back-to-back. They just beat their rival, the Pittsburgh Penguins, last night. And now you face an Edmonton team that's got the rest advantage, an Edmonton team coming off a loss to Ottawa in overtime the other night. That also is going to have Tyson Barrie back in the lineup. So even more reinforcements. This is about as healthy a lineup as Dave Tippett's had for a very long time for this Oilers team. So to me, it does set up nicely for them. Mikko Koskinen will be in net for the Oilers tonight. Vanacek started the game against Pittsburgh, but collided with a Pittsburgh player very early in that game and left due to injury. And his status moving forward is a little bit wonky. So Vanacek day-to-day, you'd expect, not confirmed yet, but you would expect because he's nursing that upper body injury that you're going to see Samsonov in it again tonight in net for the Capitals. But I like Edmonton here. I know the prices move. That's the only problem. I really liked it at plus 120. Still like it at minus 125, but not as much. Obviously, you've lost quite a bit of line value when you're talking a 45-cent move, but I would still only take the Oilers side in this game. And I do lean at 6 to the over. Sometimes you'll see teams pick up offensively even without Ovechkin. Edmonton could score with the back-to-back. I could see Washington being a little not so sharp defensively in their own end, and maybe Edmonton taking advantage of that. So I do think the over could get there, especially with the number being at 6. And still would lean Oilers. You've just lost a lot of value with the price move. Terry, we'll start with you on this one. Edmonton, Washington.
I took the draw in this game. 3 of Edmonton's last 5 games have gone to overtime. 3 of Washington's last 7 have gone to overtime. In the last 5 times Edmonton's gone to Washington, 2 out of 5 went to overtime. The Caps are actually 4-0-1 in their last 5 at home versus Edmonton. So initially, I did not like the Edmonton side, but when I heard Ovechkin was out, that kind of just that was it for me. So I put a unit on Edmonton money line minus 120. I know the value's a little bit lost there, but I think Edmonton, it's either going to be a draw, a close game, or Edmonton's going to blow them out here. So I got on both sides, and hopefully Edmonton wins in overtime. That's my hope for this game. But yeah, the Oilers 4-1 in their last 5. They're playing well right now.
They are, and the loss to Ottawa, they played well enough to win. Outshot, outchanced Ottawa. Murray was very good, by the way, in that game Monday night in that Senators-Oilers game. He was. It was one of his better performances. Oilers had their share of chances, and Dave Tippett said we don't really hate the way we played in that game. We just didn't finish when we had the chance. And then in overtime, Timmy Stützle gets the opportunity, roofs it over Mikko Koskinen's shoulder, and that's the difference. In the end, it was still a very winnable game for the Oilers Monday night. But, and again, you got a rested team as well coming into this one. Washington off the big win against Pittsburgh. There's definitely the intangibles, and the situation does set up well for Edmonton tonight. Jimmy, what do you think here, Oilers Capitals?
Yeah, I'm going to come right out of the gate with a Jimmy puck line here, since they stole that beautiful value away from us when Ovechkin went down. So, yeah, give me the puck line on that. And also, I like the first period over, and I like the over total. That helped me a lot with the Capitals last night. I'm going to do it again tonight. It just the way the Oilers played in the last game and the frustration they must still be harboring from it, you got a feeling they're just going to unload tonight on the Capitals and get back to scoring a lot of goals. So I just look at that. And right now the Oilers are at 3-0-1 in their last 4 in the over after scoring 2 goals or less in their previous game. So that's what I'm feeling tonight.
All right, so there we go. Oilers puck line -1.5 for Jimmy at plus. You can get that, by the way, the puck line at plus 200 in some spots here with the Oilers. Yeah, plus 195, plus 200 in that range. And he also is going to double up first period over, full game over here with the Oilers and the Capitals. All right, next up, we've got LA Detroit. Whoops, we're missing our banners. Let me correct that. Yeah, we've got LA Detroit. We've got the LA Kings here, road favorites in this game right now. You can see them at about -130 here in this game. The total currently at 5.5, pretty much across the board in this one. Should be interesting here because Detroit is in a very similar spot as what they were in the other night when they took on the Anaheim Ducks. It was Anaheim, end of a long road trip. And, they seemed like they were running out of steam a little bit in that game. The Ducks throughout the course of it. Detroit outshot Anaheim 28-15 rather, that night. And I think they deserved the 2 points in the end. I know they needed to go to overtime to win that game, but they found a way to get the job done. The Detroit Red Wings 2-1 in overtime. A face-off win led to Jordan Osterley scoring the game winner for the Red Wings in that contest. And, of course, Dylan Larkin scored a beautiful goal for the first goal of that game the other night against Anaheim. He continues to absolutely light it up offensively right now. Dylan Larkin just continuing to produce on a nightly basis for them. I think this is kind of like the same thing here for LA. You look at this road trip that they've been on. It's been a while now, January 23rd, nearly 2 weeks they've been on the road, or a week and a half now, this road trip. It's already gone 5 games. This will be the 6th and final game. They are 3-2 so far on this road trip, and it's been win-loss, win-loss, win so far. Beat New Jersey, lost to the Rangers, beat the Islanders, lost to the Flyers, and then bounced back the very next day and upset the Penguins 4-3 in that game. I like Detroit here, plus 120, plus 115, very similar spot to the Anaheim spot the other night. West Coast team tired at the end of the long road trip. Detroit to take advantage. Detroit's played better hockey all year at home as opposed to on the road, and still some major defensive injuries for the Kings. And, we've got Matt Roy is out for them. Sean Walker's out. Cluster injuries on the blue line is always a bit of a concern right now for the Kings going into this matchup. And like we say, we've got Detroit now that's been at home since the win against Anaheim Monday. They've been at home now for a couple in a row. Got a little bit of a scheduling advantage, rest advantage as well. I think it's a good home dog spot and a good home dog price here. Detroit at plus 115 here in this one. We've got Andrew with us now, so we'll start with Andrew here on this one. We'll also get his thoughts on Edmonton, Washington, and the betcast, because I know we talked about that at the beginning of the show as well, how much fun it was having that first betcast last night. Andrew, welcome in.
Hey, good to be here, guys. Sorry for my tardiness. Yeah, betcast was really fun. It was so fun that I ended up having to leave it, and it came back for the last 10 minutes to chat with Ian and a few other people. So that was fun. Some crazy games. Good night to have a betcast too, guys? There could be some games where it's just a blowout, and then it's not really that fun. But all of us having some drinks, having a good time. Look, I like the Oilers in general overnight last night. We talked about on the betcast as well, and then Ovi just gets announced out. That kind of just adds more fuel to the fire. That number's getting shot up as we talk right now on this show for the Oilers. So they open up as dogs last night. Now they're upwards of minus 125, 130. So yeah, I like the Oilers there. As far as this game goes, I'm right there with you. I'd say I like the dog. But I'm going to go ahead and actually think this could be a messy game. So the Kings have actually been kind of impressing me with, guys like Dano and the forwards back checking, playing decent defense. But I feel like we could see an over 5.5 in this game.
All right, over 5.5 for Andrew is where he would lean here, Kings and Red Wings. And obviously on the Edmonton trip. But again, I have Edmonton plus 120 in pocket. Like I mentioned it on the betcast last night, and I bet it right at that moment when I saw it because I knew I'd like that side. And I knew it had to move as well. And we're talking 45 cents it's moved toward the Oilers. It's gone from plus 120 to minus 125 in less than 12 hours. So, and again, the Ovechkin news definitely part of that as well. Jimmy, what do you think here, LA, Detroit?
Yeah, read some interesting stuff. It's funny we're talking about this game now. I was just getting done reading 32 Thoughts there by Elliot Friedman. He's just talking about LA right now. And they're going to be, according to Rob Blake, their GM, they're going to be buyers at the deadline. And I don't think a lot of us really maybe imagine that. We know when we came into this season at this point would say that, but for that note, I mean, this is a team then is not just looking at this as another rebuild year, as another, we'll be happy to maybe just miss the playoffs or compete or be a spoiler. They're going all in. And I think that attitude will, if they saw those quotes too, I could see that translating onto the ice. Give me the LA Kings on the money line.
All right, like in LA here, -130. And end of a road trip, but you get that message being sent by the GM. Maybe it's got the team thinking, hey, he thinks we're good. He thinks we can be a playoff team. Let's show what we're all about. So we'll see if we get that effort from LA tonight, albeit in a difficult scheduling spot. But boy, they've been solid on this road trip. They could have beat the Rangers. They almost did, and they lost in a shootout. They did have the bad loss. That was a bad loss to the Flyers, but we'll excuse them for that. And especially when they bounce back and they beat Pittsburgh in a second of back-to-back and an early start the very next day. What a resilient bounce back that was. You lose to the lowly Flyers. You're the victims of them, ending their long losing streak. And then you bounce back and you beat the Pittsburgh Penguins the very next day. So got to give the Kings a ton of credit for that, no doubt. Terry, your thoughts here?
Another draw for me in this. LA's gone to overtime 2 out of their last 5 games. Detroit 4 of their last 8. I could see a close game here. LA 3-0-2 in their last 5, so they are playing pretty well. I lean towards the under, but Detroit can be pretty scary with unders right now, so I did not bet that. I feel like this is 2-2, maybe 3-3 going to overtime, and I'm not sure who wins. But I like the draw again in this spot for this game.
All right, there we go. Liking the draw. It's Terry. It's Terry draw. We got Jimmy Puckline. We got Terry draw right now here on the Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys. But yeah, you could get that. You could see a lot of close competitive games, even in these mismatches. Like even the next game we're going to talk about, Calgary taking on Arizona. We've got Calgary -275 road favorites here. The total 5.5, slightly shaded to the over in this one. Now we know last night it was pretty amazing that. It's not like he was awful last night in the game, Jacob Markstrom, but Daryl Sutter just had this sixth sense with the team down 3-1 after the second period. We need some life jolted into our hockey team. And I think that's why he made the switch to Dan Vladar. I don't think it was necessarily all Markstrom was bad. There was no life in the Calgary Flames in the second period last night. They did pretty much next to nothing in the second period. They didn't have much offensive zone time. They really didn't push the attack. They really didn't have much going on whatsoever, the Calgary Flames, in that game at all in the second period. And yet in the third period, things completely turned around in favor of the Flames in that game in the third. It started with the 3-2 goal with about 5 minutes to go. And it's just amazing how quickly, that game just got away from the Dallas Stars. And, Dallas had a chance to actually put the game away with a power play when it was 3-2. And then Oliver Shillington, the defenseman, he ends up coming out of the box, joining the rush on that tying goal and scores it for Calgary to tie it up 3-3. And then they go ahead just a minute or so later. And it's just an absolutely stunning turnaround that Dallas goes from up 3-1 going into the third at home where they've been very good all year. And they end up losing 4-3. Incredible comeback by Calgary. It was good for a lot of us. Andrew and I had Calgary. A couple others did. And I had Calgary +1.5, +160 on the betcast. And I probably would have taken the money line once they made it 3-2, but I was already on the full game money line from before the game. But just a terrific comeback for Calgary. So it's kind of a dubious spot for them off that thrilling comeback last night, back-to-back. And obviously it's a questionable spot for Arizona. They just pulled off one of the upsets of the year. One of the upsets of the season in the National Hockey League, ending Colorado's 18-game home win streak last night with that victory against the Colorado Avalanche last night. Just incredible. Great. Give Scott Wedgwood credit. He was good in the game. I like Karel Vejmelka saves again. I'm going to just keep on going to that well here with the Arizona goaltenders having to make a lot of saves. I think you'll probably see that tonight in this game. That's probably the thing I like the most is Vejmelka saves over. These have been cashing at a pretty good clip lately, taking these Arizona goalies, having to face a lot of rubber, a lot of shots. That's been the routine for them lately. As far as the side goes, I'm not stepping in front of Calgary, but do I want to lay a price in this spot after the comeback last night? I'm not sure. Probably I'm going to pass on the side. Maybe I'd go Flames puck line before I'd take Arizona, but I don't like Calgary enough in this spot to really go forward with anything significant there. So if anything, the main opinion for me is going to be the saves prop here for Karel Vejmelka of the Arizona Coyotes in this one. Jimmy, what do you think here, Calgary, Arizona?
I'm going to jump on that with you too, Ian. You've been pounding the saves there with him, and I'm going to jump on that as well. And I'm going to take Calgary in the puck line in the first period.
All right, there we go. Calgary -0.5 in the first period. Maybe a little momentum too from the comeback last night. Maybe a little flat, maybe early letdown from Arizona. I mean, that is pretty massive what they did last night. You just beat one of the best teams in the NHL, and you ended their 18-game home winning streak. That's pretty significant for a team that's not used to a lot of good things happening to them. So we'll see if the Coyotes can still bring it back around and play well tonight in this one for a second straight night. Andrew, what do you like here, Flames and Coyotes?
Yeah, I think it's it's a battle of the two teams that just had amazing comebacks last night, or at least big games, in different ways. One team, biggest betting upset since 2006, and the other team that scored, I think, 3 or 4 goals in the matter of 4 or 5 minutes, which is so in each of their own ways, exciting games for both clubs. But to your guys' point and to Jimmy's point, which team do you expect to do that back-to-back nights? Really, that's really the question. But the odds are horrible. I'm with Jimmy. I think the best way to play it would be the first period puck line there. Or maybe even the first period over would be a good look as well. Both teams come out either a little bit sloppy or a little bit motivated offensively and feeling good about themselves. And let's not forget, it is the last game before the All-Star break. And as we saw, I mean, hey, maybe they've already have their, their travel plans ready. They're ready to head off to Punta Cana or something for a couple of days, and they're ready to leave. So I'm not quite sure what to expect for tonight. But if I had a choice to take the Grand Salami under or over on tonight's card, it would definitely not be under, because I expect some sloppiness, and I think that sloppiness favors the Calgary Flames. So I'm with Jimmy. I like that first period puck line. It's a good play, and you get great odds out of it.
Yeah, that's you're definitely going to get better with the first period puck line than, say, the full game puck line is -115. Your first period puck line is +115. So there you go. That is the absolute best price you'll find with, and it's often the case with the big favorites. When they're -200 or more, the first period puck line is the absolute best price, best value you'll find to support that team. Terry, what do you like here?
I'm right there with Jimmy and Andrew. Calgary first period puck line +115. I've already locked that in. Also, Rasmus Anderson over half an assist +125. He's got assists in 3 of his last 5 games. I like him to get an assist here tonight. And also, I have a 2-team money line parlay. Calgary money line is the first leg of that. I don't think the second team will be a big surprise to anybody, but we'll get to that when we get to that game.
I like it. I respect that. I like it.
Could be a certain team that starts with the letter M by any chance? Yeah.
It could possibly be.
Could it be a team with
the team that was expected to go 82-0? What happened to their season? I thought they were going to go 82-0, Terry.
Hey, as long as we make the top 2 in the Central, I'm happy.
Hey, Terry, I actually just booked for a podcast I do with Joe Haggerty. We just booked Billy Guerin for February 14th. Awesome. Yeah. So I'll let you know when we post it.
There we go. Sure. You'll want to hear that. The GM of the Wild has done a really good job. Let's be honest. He's done a very, very good job in just a short period of time with the Minnesota Wild. And we will get to them, but you're right. Usually we go in order of rotation, betting rotation numbers with the order of the games, but I also like to go in the order of the start time. And they put the Seattle-New York Islanders game at the bottom, which is why I thought that was going to be the last game, but it's actually an early game. So we'll do that one now. Seattle Kraken.
Because nobody gives a shit about this game.
Maybe I think that's really the truth. I really think that's the real reason. But apparently it's because it was rescheduled, so they put it at the bottom of the rotation. That's why it goes there. But I get your point. This is the least glamorous game of the night. By far, no question. Kraken and Islanders.
You want to watch this?
Yeah, exactly. Islanders -200 home favorites, 5.5. I lean strong to the under, but man, it's 5.5 -140, -150 to the under, and I'm even seeing 5s starting to appear. But look, goals should be hard to come by with these two teams. They're not over teams. They're two of the Seattle's trended under this whole road trip. Every game's gone under. We've talked about the onus on them to play sturdy, sound defensive hockey. They really don't want to open up the game. Now, that was against better offensive teams. The Rangers, the Penguins on this road trip that they played, the Bruins, the Islanders. I still don't think they're going to want to open it up. I still don't think they're going to want to run and gun Seattle. And even if they do, are the Islanders a team we can fully count on to score every night? No, that's not the case. So I would lean under. I would actually lean. It's a terrible spot for Seattle. Terrible. I get that. It's the end of a long road trip for them and back to back. But I'd still take the plus 170 with them before the Islanders with anything. Whether it's minus 200, whether it's Islanders in regulation. But I'm obviously not going to take Seattle. It's just a small lean and a lean to the under, but I'm not going to lay a minus 150 on an under 5.5. But this is the one game that you could definitely envision a 2-1, 3-1 type of game. This would be that game tonight. Neither team is going to push pace. Both teams are going to be defense first. The Islanders always are. Seattle's been that way on this road trip. So it would be under or pass for me. Jimmy, what do you think here? Seattle, New York Islanders.
Jimmy pass.
Jimmy pass. Andrew, Seattle, New York Islanders.
I'll just kind of reiterate what you've been saying about them the past little while. I found a number here, 10-1. That's a streak for the Isles against the team when they're favorites. So 10-1, last 11 games victorious for the Islanders when they're favorites in that game. That should tell us all something, just like Ian's been saying. This team wins when they're supposed to. They might not win the pick'em games. They might not win as underdogs, but they win. And here's one for you guys as well. Islanders 39-13 last 52 games against a team with a record of below 400 or win percentage. I mean, some teams just don't get up for games against, bottom tier opponents, which is what the Kraken are. But it sounds like the Islanders to me, just like, I keep giving credit to Ian, but I mean, a lot of people have been saying it. They win against teams they should. The problem is, as you can see on the screen below, it's minus 200, So do you go with the regulation? Do you go with the puck line? But guys, I mean, it's hard to ignore 10-1 their last 11 as a favorite. It's pretty sick. I'll take it.
All right, take it. Regulation, right? Obviously.
Yeah, regulation. Minus 110 is what I locked in. I don't know what it is now.
Yep. The Islanders, this is usually what they do. I mean, they're going to beat Ottawas. They're going to beat the Seattles, very likely. They're going to beat New Jersey like they have. They're going to beat Philadelphia multiple times like they have. They're going to beat Arizona like they have. And every loss is to teams that are just, the better teams. Toronto, they've lost. Vegas. I mean, go on down the list. Look at every recent Islander loss. It's to a good team. And every recent Islander win is to a bad team. That's what they've been. And that's why I have a hard time thinking they're going to make the playoffs. Although I will say this, if they get into the playoffs, they're going to be that usual thorn in the backside and tough out for anybody, because of just that style they play. But they got to get there first, and that's still a big if. Yeah, Alex in the chat, yeah, of course, Jordan Eberle, we always like this. And we like not only the goal scorer prop with the team, with the guy facing his former team, and obviously Eberle for Seattle, facing his former team, the New York Islanders, one of his former teams. But you not only like the goal scorer prop with a guy like that in a game like this, but maybe the shots on goal as well you look at. So those are definitely
Alex talked last night.
Yeah, exactly. When you're seeing the former player against that. And look at it. It's happened so many times. Andreas Janssen for New Jersey, even the other night against Toronto, his former team score. I mean, there's a million examples of this just this season alone, that it's always something that the player that used to play for that team, he wants to make an impact when he plays that team. And I think definitely you would want to see that here from Jordan. Now, Jordan Eberle is one of those guys that probably should be doing more than he has. He's been up and down and more down of late. Like, he's on a massive goal scoring drought. That's the issue. And he's got just a single point for the Kraken in the last 10 games, 1 point in the last 10 games. And he's gone even longer than that without a goal. So it's kind of a leap of faith, right, to take a goal scorer prop. You can at least take shots on goal with him, at least if you don't trust him to score. Something to consider, at least for this game tonight with Jordan Eberle for the Kraken against his old mates. Terry, what do you think here? Seattle, New York?
I lean towards the under, but it's most likely Varlamov and net, and I don't like to take unders with him.
Yep.
I'd much rather have Sorokin. Seattle's penalty kill on the road is ranked 30th, 72.3%. So if I was going to get into any props in this game, I would look at Islanders power play props, but they just don't score very much. So it's not really a spot for me. So it's just a pass in this game.
Yeah, I think most of us, Jimmy, we're all passing. I think Andrew's the one that's involved in it with the Islanders in regulation. But yeah, like we say, one of the least glamorous matchups here tonight on the card. All right, we'll wrap it up. Final game. It's the one Terry I know has been waiting for all show long to be able to talk about this game. The Minnesota Wild taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. We've got Minnesota minus 160. Road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Should be an interesting matchup. This is the second game of the TNT doubleheader tonight. The Wild and the the Blackhawks rather. Minnesota, 5 straight wins. They've gotten back on track. Remember they had that little swoon there late December last year, and then in the Winter Classic, I still don't know what happened to them in that game to be so flat for 2 periods. But that was really what I think snapped them back to attention and said, hey, we need to start playing good hockey again. And sure enough, they turned it around. They brought in Matt Boldy, remember, and even Marco Rossi as well prior to that game against Boston. And that's where the turnaround started for Minnesota. And since that Bruins win 3-2 on January 6th, this team's ripped off an 8-1 run in their last 9 games. So it's been a lot better from the Minnesota Wild. They found ways to win. They've won close games. They've won a few games going away. Talbot has come back and played solid. Kakanen's been very good. When you look at it, the victories against Chicago, Kakinen was good. He was terrific the other night against the Islanders. Islanders fired a lot of rubber, at Kakinen in that game against the Wild. But Kakinen made that lead stand up, and for the Wild to hang on for a 4-3 victory over the Islanders in that game. They're just such a really, really strong, well-balanced team. And we talked about the rookie, Matt Boldy, who had a goal and an assist in that game against the Islanders. He's now got 9 points in 9 games. He's a point-per-game player for Minnesota since he's been called up. So he's been very solid. Obviously, you look at the opportunity he's getting right now with the Minnesota Wild. He's getting minutes. He's playing with up in the lineup, which has been good to see for the Minnesota Wild. So definitely keep an eye on him moving forward. What's odd, though, is this is odd because they don't have him listed in the lineup on RotoWire, but it's bizarre why that's the case. Let me just double check. Is there a late absence for him here? I don't see it. I see Bukestad, Dumba, and Foligno right now for the Minnesota Wild is out. So I expect him to be in there for sure. Talbot and Fleury, by the way, are your confirmed goaltenders tonight in this one. Of course, Talbot's still trying to work his way back into rhythm. He was out for a pretty lengthy period of time earlier this month. He's given up 3 goals in the 2 starts against the Rangers and Montreal. And, of course, Kakinen had the start against the Islanders the other night. And Marc-Andre Fleury for the Chicago Blackhawks. You got to wonder just a little bit, no, they're not playing great in front of him. This is not all on Fleury, but, the last few games have been a bit of a struggle. He gave up 5 to Detroit, gave up 4 to Colorado. A little bit better against Vancouver, 2 goals allowed, but Blackhawks lose that game by a score of 3-1. You look at head-to-head series with these teams. We've gone 4-1-1 to the over with these teams in the last 6 head-to-head meetings with Minnesota and Chicago. Minnesota is always of interest to me to see their games go over the total. And when you look at the previous meetings, they both, I think one game pushed and the other one went over the full game. And both previous meetings this year went over the total in the first period, which is why I'm going to do something that I rarely do. Jimmy's done it before a lot, and he has already done it with one of the other games tonight. I'm going to do the first period full game over split here in this game with Minnesota and Chicago. With Minnesota, Chicago over 1.5 minus 140 in the first period. I'm going to take that as well as over 6 minus 120 for the full game. So it's a first period full game over split for me with the Wild and the Blackhawks. Terry, we'll start with you. How can we not? It's a Minnesota Wild game. Go ahead.
I was hoping you weren't going to make me wait till last. And yeah. Since Matt Boldy came in the game after the Winter Classic, 8-0-1, like you said, he's found instant chemistry with Kevin Fiala. Those two just play amazing together right off the bat. Boldy's also on the top power play. He's done well there. Kevin Fiala and Kirill Kaprizov both have 11-game point streaks. They've been scoring and assisting. The Wild also has at least one power play goal in 4 straight games here. Wild's numbers are just completely better than Chicago's. Fleury has struggled versus the Wild. He did in the first matchup in Chicago, and I think he struggles again here. So I have a long list of plays here. Wild first period puck line, plus 155. Wild in regulation. Wild puck line. Wild race to 3. Wild race to 4. Boldy over half a power play point, which is plus 325. Kaprizov over half a power play point, plus 130. And Zuccarello over half a power play point, plus 150. Obviously, these are half unit and quarter unit bets, so I'm not going super crazy here. But I do like the Wild here. They are the second team in my 2-team moneyline parlay. Calgary and Minnesota moneyline, plus 117. I do have a unit on that. I really like that. And that will be my best bet as well. So I'll give it to you early, as long as it's okay that I give a parlay as a best bet.
Of course.
I like Calgary, Minnesota here on both money lines, plus 117. I think they both win here.
All right. Yeah, definitely. That's a good point with Minnesota's power play. And you looking at power play props specifically for the Wild, conceptually, that makes a ton of sense right now. You look at Minnesota, last 4 games, 5 times they've scored on the power play. 5 power play goals the last 4 games. And then you look at Chicago here in the last 5 games for them. They've given up 6 power play goals. So the penalty kill has struggled lately for Chicago. Power play has been good lately for Minnesota. Put those 2 factors together, and yeah, you maybe said Chicago better stay out of the box is what we're saying here. Good point by you, Renus. You're right. They've taken a lot of penalties lately, Minnesota. No question about that. And can Chicago's power play take advantage? And that's kind of why I think they could even chip in a power play goal or 2. Chicago with 3 power play goals their last 5 games. Again, not nearly as productive as Minnesota's. And if you go back the last 9 games, we've seen the Chicago team score a total of 6 power play goals the last 9 games. So power play has been at least contributing a little bit for Chicago. And Minnesota has had their issues staying out of the box lately. So there could be opportunity for the Blackhawks with the man advantage as well, if they can take advantage of it. Jimmy, what do you think here, Minnesota, Chicago?
Yeah, I like some of the things that Terry was talking about there, and specifically, he's high on Matthew Boldy, as am I. I mean, this kid is already shown he's going to be a stud. So I'm going to take a gold prop on him, and then I like the first period puck line, and then I'm going to do a little game parlay here where I take the Wild puck line and the over 6.5.
All right, there we go. That's Wild puck line. That's for really good value on that, because you're going to get Wild puck line and you're going to get over 6.5, which is, of course, a little bit north of where the current full game total is lined. So interesting look there with those 2, and you'll get pretty decent with the same game odds with those 2 bets you'll get with Minnesota in terms of the puck line and also the over 6.5 here in this game. Yeah, that'll be a nice payout, Jimmy, if it hits for you. No question about that.
Sweet.
I'm trying to see what. Hold on, I'm just trying.
I'm looking. DraftKings says if you do it, you get plus 210. I thought it would be a little higher, to be honest. But
yeah, me too. I was just trying to do the calculations of that in my head just now. That's why I was.
But I still like that. We'll do it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I would have thought it would be closer to plus.
I'm shocked. Yeah, I'm shocked by that with the puck line being thrown in there.
Yeah. It's only plus 210, but yeah, I thought it would definitely have been higher then. It kind of feels like that, Chris. Is this still the betcast from last night? He's saying in the chat. Yeah, because we were on the air till midnight, and now we're back on the air already this afternoon. It feels like a very quick turnaround for sure. No question.
Minnesota Wild and over 6.5.
Excuse me.
Plus 390.
It's 390. I was looking at the money line. My bad, guys.
There you go.
Yeah, Wild minus 1.5 and over 6.5 goals plus 390. That's
and then if you do the money line, it's 210.
Yeah. All right.
Ian, can I say one more thing too? Rich reminded me here in the chat. If Chicago does have a lead in the third period, anywhere in the last 10 minutes, look to live bet the Wild. They have the best 6-on-5 record in the league, and it's not even close. When they pull the goalie, when they're down, it's very high chance that they score.
Nice.
So I've
little
hit a
tip as
couple
well.
nice live bets.
Yep.
So if Chicago somehow does have the lead here in the third period, I will be hammering that.
And live team totals for Minnesota too.
That's right. You could do that. Like with Buffalo last night, for instance, with over 1.5 in the third period, and it got there. We got that second goal from the Sabres during the betcast last night. So that was good to see that. And of course, Nicholas Earl had that Buffalo team total over 1.5 as well. So that was good to see. You can take advantage of those team total situations. You're right. Minnesota's like the opposite of, say, Dallas or the Islanders. They never give you an empty net goal when you need it. Those two teams are, I think, two of the worst teams in terms of empty net goals. Whereas you look at it with Minnesota, you can rely on them a lot, to be able to find the empty net when they're up by a goal in the last minute or two of a game. Andrew, what do you think here? Minnesota, Chicago.
I like that parlay that Terry said. I'll probably hop on that with him for a small play, but I actually do like the over in this game. And everybody's kind of saying, well, if you like the over, I mean, you're banking on Chicago to do some work. I think this is going to be the sloppiest of sloppy hockey we've seen in a while. This to me is going to be just like 1st to 6 goals wins this game. I would be shocked, guys, if we see a low scoring, tight checking, playoff style of hockey. I make those jokes about players booking their tickets to Punta Cana. I think this is going to be taking a night off, and I don't expect any defense in this game. It's going to be like a skills competition out there, minus the All-Stars, except for a couple on each team, of course. But I think over 6.5, I'll take as well. Depends on where you shop around. I definitely have made it clear I don't mind a little bit of extra juice to avoid the half. I'll take the 6, but I mean, I'm going to probably end up tailing Terry on that 2 team. I was looking at it earlier today as well. The odds are better on it than I thought they might be. But I like the over, and I feel like Chicago will give us a good effort here and help us get over there. So I hope, Terry, your Wild win for the record. I'm just like the over.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Chicago will have a better pushback. Right, national TV, I know they were talking about it, Derek King saying we just have to have a greater push. We really didn't have much push in our game at any point. Like they were down 1-0 early to Vancouver, and you really never, then it was 2-0, and it just never really got fully back into the game until they did finally score in the third, but then Vancouver answered right back and put it away. So, just a better overall. And sometimes, when your captain's out, Jonathan Toews, emotional leader of this franchise for, over a decade, it's hard to rally the troops and get them, their heads, back into the game again. He'd be the guy when they're down 1-0, 2-0 to Vancouver to say, hey, let's go. He's not there because he's not playing. So you've missed that a little bit. But I think with this being the final game, they're at home, TNT, national TV cameras are on tonight for this Wild Blackhawks game. You'll probably see a better push from the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. Now, will it be enough to win? It's an entirely different story, and I know our resident Wild fan hopes that's not the case tonight in this game. Great stuff. That is the last game before the break. We have arrived at the All-Star break. It's been a great first half of the season. It's been a good first half of the season for a lot of us from a betting standpoint. I think a lot of us are in the same boat where we've kind of turned around a bad start to the season because I know a lot of us were in that position, and we've turned it around. We've had a very good November, December, especially December and January has worked out very well for a bunch of us. It's been very good to see. And again, with this being our final show before the All-Star break, we can't say enough thanks to everybody that watches the show, everybody that listens to the podcast and downloads the podcast, that joins us, of course, on the Betcast last night. You're the reason we get to do this show 7 days a week and bring you coverage of every single NHL game from a betting perspective. So we appreciate all of you, and we hope you have a terrific All-Star break. Enjoy a few days off from hockey, although I will throw out something about the All-Star game itself. I believe they're doing that same format like the last few years, right? So like it's the 2 semifinals and then the final, in terms of the mini games, as they call it. I always say bet those first 2 games over. They're sloppy. There's a lot of goals. But then when the championship game comes around, bet it under because they actually dig in and the money's on the line, that kind of thing. So That's usually been the pattern. If you want to bet the All-Star game, and again, you should keep it small, your amounts. That's what I'll be doing. But there's just a philosophy that I've kind of gone with over the last few years when it comes to the All-Star game. The opening semifinal matches, if you will, bet them over. They're a little bit more loose. And then when the money's on the line and they're playing in that final mini game, oftentimes you actually see a little defense. Not a ton, but you see enough to keep it maybe under 16 and a half or 17 and whatever the total is going to be for that final All-Star game tournament matchup with the money on the line. So just a little theory that has worked well for me in years past when it comes to betting that little All-Star game tournament. And that's taking place on Saturday, by the way, this year as well. All right, before we get to best bets, we want to talk about DraftKings Sportsbook one final time before the break. The moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. In honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in New York, meaning you can bet from almost a third of the country. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still play for DraftKings Daily Fantasy Football Contest for Super Bowl 56. New customers can get a free shot at a $1 million top prize with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code THPN, and get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Must be 21 years of age or older. Minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right, it is best bets one final time before the All-Star break for best bets. Jimmy, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to look at that the Minnesota first period puck line. I think I'll go with there. I attempted to do the other first period puck line, but I'll stick with Minnesota.
All right, Minnesota first period puck line for Jimmy in this one, which you can get here -0.5 plus 150. Minnesota Wild first period puck line, best bet for Jimmy in this one for this Wednesday card. Andrew, best bet.
Yeah, I'm going to run the Islanders reg line there. That stat, I as you guys could tell when I talked about the game, I love it. The 10-1 is a favorite run there for them. It just goes to show how well they do against bottom feeders. Seattle gave it all they had against the Bees last night, and I don't think it's going to be in the tank for them tonight against the Islanders. Islanders need these wins against the bottom feeders, and tonight's another opportunity for them to do it. So at the regulation price, best bet for me here on the show.
All right, there we go. New York Islanders in regulation. Best bet for Andrew McInnis. And Terry Edelman, our special guest here on this Wednesday show. Please don't tell me it's a Minnesota best bet.
Calgary money line, Minnesota money line, two-team parlay.
Well, they're in it still. It's not all Minnesota, but Minnesota's still
plus
in
117.
it.
And I didn't get a chance to put in the chat. Everybody smash the like button. These three guys really deserve it. Alex too. Smash the like button. It just takes a second. And it really helps out.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, Terry.
Right on the money. Yeah, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. And there we go with Terry's best bet. Calgary, Minnesota, moneyline parlay. Best bet for Terry Edelman for this Wednesday card. And by the way, happy trails to Alex. He's off to Denver. I hope he has an enjoyable trip there. This All-Star break going to the Mile High City. My best bet is, well, if you watched the betcast last night, you already know what the best bet is because I said it was going to be the best bet on this show. And I'm going to make it the best bet still, even at the worst price. Edmonton -120 against Washington. Again, we're not getting as good of a price now, but you can still find -120 in some spots, although it's creeping up at DraftKings as we speak to even higher, like -130, -135 even. So get on that quickly. Bet the Oilers sooner rather than later. Everybody knows now Alex Ovechkin's going to be out for the Capitals, so don't wait around on this one. Oilers in a great spot. Rest advantage off a loss to Ottawa. Washington off that thrilling comeback against Pittsburgh, a game they really wanted to win. They always have that history with Pittsburgh. Could be difficult for them to have that same strong game tonight on a back-to-back. So Edmonton here, -120 up to -130 in some spots. That'll be my best bet. Final best bet before the All-Star break here on the Ice Guys And that's a wrap. We are out of here until Monday. A nice little break for the show, but we will be back on an every single day basis next Monday, February 7th, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern time with another edition of the Ice Guys, and we'll pick things up right after the All-Star break. And yes, MDR, thank you for mentioning that. Alex B. Smith's best bet, Minnesota, Chicago, first period over, 1.5 minus 140. He also likes Edmonton, by the way, as well. That's another of his plays tonight, Oilers money line. Great stuff. Hope you enjoyed all the shows prior to the break. We're going to enjoy the break. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Just to answer Groovy Cap's question before we wrap it up, Evander Kane to score, probably will have something on that. I like that. 15-1 for first goal. Sure. It's more like a lottery ticket when you're talking first goal of the game with those bets. But if you want to put a couple bucks on it for fun, go ahead.
I'll tell you, I'd much rather bet a first touchdown score than a first goal score because there's not four lines playing in the NFL, So that's definitely more of a crapshoot in the NHL with the first goal.
It's a lottery ticket. That's essentially.
If Zach Kassian scores the first goal, I'd be flipping my head around. So I would be kind of mad if someone down the lineup scored.
Like, look at the Leaf game last night. Jason Spetz had the first goal. So many people would have had Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, maybe Jack Hughes from New Jersey, way ahead of Jason Spezza. But that's what you get sometimes with those first goal score prop bets. But good luck with it, Groovy Caps. And good luck to everybody tonight, and hope everyone enjoys the All-Star break. For Terry Edelman, our special guest, as well as Jimmy Murphy, Andrew McInnis, Alex B. Smith, who is on his way to Denver as we speak. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the NHL All-Star break. Enjoy the R&R. We will reconvene with you Monday next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.